Hello again everyone, Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart. Now some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in the natal chart. They were a little bit concise, some people may refer to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up as well, if you have the moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart, it could manifest in easily meeting that need, which is the moon, for action and general activity. If you have, let's say, your Mars in Aquarius as an example, those actions, activity may often involve, it could be humanitarian endeavors, or doing something with innovation, astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, meteorology, aviation. As some examples, it might just simply be, doing things with friends or group-related endeavors. Now, another thing too is that if you have the moon sextile or trine Mars in your natal chart, another way these aspects may be expressed could be readily finding that drive and motivation, which is Mars, to attain the emotional needs, which is the moon. Now, let's say the moon is in Scorpio as an example. Those emotional needs, could include, things with psychology, getting to the bottom of things, doing something with investigation, gaining some kind of power and control, transformation of some manner. Those are things, and going beyond, subterfuge, superficiality, digging deep into things, as some examples. Now also too, these aspects can be auspicious for, being emotionally, which is the moon vested, in doing things that require, energy, really physical, related energy, which is Mars. And the thing about this is, now let's say, if Mars is in Libra as an example, those things that you do, that are require some kind of physical energy, maybe some kind of artistic endeavor, it may be something, in which you're collaborating, with someone else, on a project or endeavor, something that requires, like a partnership, or it could be, doing something, connected with balance, or say even scale production could be an example, because scales actually are connected with the zodiac sign Libra, though that would be, remote and isolated. I mean, somewhat flippant with that. But anyway, now another way the moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart can be expressed is that, the people that have one of these aspects may easily express the emotions and feelings, which is the moon, to sexual partners, which is Mars. And the thing is, if the moon is in Pisces as an example, it could be very, feelings, sacrifice, well, really feelings more compassion and empathy, and really care, a really strong emotion too. And even, the moon in Cancer can be a good example of showing, really, strong emotion. Scorpio moon could be very deep emotion, toward, those sexual partners. Say if Mars is in the zodiac sign Cancer as an example, it could be those sexual partners, maybe, those that are, that have a Cancer sun, moon, or ascendant, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be people that are dedicated, devoted, caring, tenacious, nurturing, sympathetic, protective, introverted, yet maybe moody and temperamental as well. And you may easily, nurture and care, which is the moon, for those people. If the moon is in Gemini as an example, you may show, You're caring by, nurturing, the mental needs, providing some kind of mental, intellectual stimulation, toward those people. It could be doing things that require the use of the hands, manual dexterity, such as maybe repairing a vehicle or even a refrigerator in some cases for those people. This is where um, you may also, if you have the moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart, another way it may manifest could be where it's, positive, or I should say, you have the right emotion, for doing the things you have an enthusiasm for, which is Mars. Now, let's say if Mars is in Sagittarius, as an example, those things you have an enthusiasm for can be tied in with publishing, advertising, printing press operation, doing something with the sports, the outdoors, could be camping, as an example. Could be foreign travel, higher education, being that perpetual learner. And also too, these aspects can be positive, for being in the mood, which is the moon for activities that are associated with leadership, which is Mars. It could simply be leading by example and showing initiative. If Mars is in Aquarius, as an example, it could be showing leadership in some, kind of selfless or humanitarian, endeavor. If Mars is in Capricorn, as another example, it could be through, your business or some career that you may be involved in, where you exhibit, that leadership prowess and ability in being able to be in that right mood to do it more often than not. And the thing too is, another way these aspects may pan out in a natal chart could be where the family, which is the moon, may admire, your courage, which is Mars. And if Mars is in Aries, it could be where there's even little difficulty in expressing, that courage, being able to even being like a bit more capability, I would say, being involved in a physical confrontation to stand up, for, people in your family life. Mars and Taurus could be that courage and standing up for one's values, as another example. Now, also, too, these aspects may be favorable, for sports, which can have a connection with Mars being connected with the public, which is the moon. Now, let's say if Mars is in Sagittarius and the sports, maybe tied into horses and horseback riding, or doing something that requires targeting, like, such as darts or archery, as some examples. And Mars and Aquarius could be the rather unusual sports, the underwater hockey that does exist, as an example. I think there's chess boxing or something, things that are rather unorthodox or unusual, as some examples. Now, another thing too is that, sexual partners, which is Mars, will likely be compatible with your unconscious side, which is the moon. If the moon is in Taurus, say, as an example, the unconscious side may be one, that's rather stolid and passive, but stable, steady, loyal, steadfast, trustworthy, yet stubborn, as some examples, but persistent as well. Now, also, too, the moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart may also manifest in really being good in terms of responding, which is the moon to emergencies, which is Mars. If something, you know, um, if Mars is in Aries, it might be something that involves a fire. As far as an emergency, may go. The thing is, the thing too is that Mars is in Aquarius. It could be something related, to computers. Something, something happening. As far as that goes, Mars in Cancer can be, a home-related, matter. As another example. Mars and Gemini could be theft, as far as an emergency may go, something tied in with that. And it could also be when you have Moon sextile or trine Mars in a natal chart, it may be really easily channeling the anger, which is Mars constructively. It could be home, doing something home related, which is the moon. It could be hitting a punching bag or working out vigorously, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.